All right, I'll try to keep this quick because I know everyone wants to go to the road mapping session. Hi, my name is Philip. I also work on the Phil Plus team. Today I'm just going to go through the tooling that we've been building to also monitor DataCap utilization and a bit of like insights from these tooling, as well as how we're using those metrics to actually enforce DataCap automation today. And so here's the first slide. This is datacapstats.io, which is our flagship dashboard. On it, there's a nice Sankey chart that basically shows that most of the data cap that goes through is coming from the LDN process, and that's 1.6 exabytes. Like 90% of it is used up. So we know, like, this is pretty obvious to everyone in the room here, but to people on YouTube, like LDN process basically has a huge impact, and DataCap has a huge impact on the whole Filecoin ecosystem from this. And yeah, and most of it is actually already subsequent allocations, so which is great. And then this is from the quality dashboard, another dashboard that just checks the quality of the data cap being sent out and the deals being made. The first graph is about CID checker. CID checker is a tool that flags different CIDs. So one of those flags is the CID shared between multiple clients. Is the data replicated properly? Is it all with one person or is it with multiple people? And yeah, as you can see, most people actually have mostly good CIDs, so this is great. And then on the second graph, there's retrieval. From the work of Caro, I would like to point out, she's not here, but retrieval is actually getting way better. So slowly getting better. As you can see, the big red part of 0% retrieval is going down, which is great. Next slide. So this is a client dashboard. There's a pretty shocking graph on it if you go all the way down. It says that there's a decrease of about half of the active GitHub applications, which is very scary at the start, but you realize that the amount of data cap being requested is actually the same. So this was actually caused by when we created a feature when Simon actually led to create a feature to close stale data cap applications. So this is what happened there. There was a steep decline. And yeah, so this is good. Like we're creating a tighter process with the application flow. And yeah, these are like the main three dashboards. If you see, there's like a lot of data on them. Datacapstats.io itself, quality.datacaps.io, and client.datacaps.io. You can look into that if you want. Next, I want to go into like how we're using this data to propose kind of ways to automate the data allocation a bit more. This is a proposal for the aggregation and compliance bot. It's kind of my idea of like the crudest method for what we can do now in terms of like getting all the data we can to enforce or to have data cap intervention, which could include giving recommendations on whether to give data cap or not, giving recommendations to remove data cap or not, closing the application, and maybe even removing data cap, or on the flip side, maybe even giving data cap to someone in an automated manner. So this is basically an endpoint that you can actually call that collects data from retrieval bot, CID checker, a bunch of compliance things that we do on the client application to check whether the client is actually working with the SPs that they claim to be, and other things like that, and location and all. And so I think it's pretty important that we get this right, because if this is not right, then it could be really bad. We want this to be as least opinionated and as most objective as possible in terms of these thresholds. And then on the flip side, there's also, there's other pathways going back to the meta discussions for Phil Plus. One possible method of getting data cap automated could be by smart contract, and there has been a lot of proposals and there's a lot of work being done on this. The idea is to have a smart contract that has logic on it that can be used to allocate data cap to different clients. This logic can be a mix of staking logic, can also be a mix of voting logic, can also be a mix of market auction logic. And there are many ideas for this, so this is also in progress. But also, it's a really good way for us to further track the deals that are happening on with DataCap because it's on chain. So yeah, so I kind of buzzed through my whole presentation. I just have like discussions now. These are questions. Are there any metrics that you guys want to see that you want to be displayed in any dashboard? And then maybe like what SLAs should we have that we can add to maybe the bot to if we start removing data cap from someone, for example, or start recommending. So, yep.
I don't know if you already showed it, but is there an endpoint to get all the data? Like an API or something? I only see GitHub links.
The endpoint is there, but the parameters for calculating whether to recommend something, so like to give data cap or to remove data cap or to close the application, those thresholds have not been set yet. I'm still number crunching, testing with different thresholds. I will have a follow-up proposal to this with all
Please let everyone know as soon as there is data to be pulled.
Okay.
Let me say it like that.
Are you specifically asking for data for like the number crunching he's doing so you can do your
No, it's a
analysis?
centralized system. If the
Okay.
server crashes and the backup is lost, then it's just lost.
I think one of the other hurdles with these kinds of bots and like various like risk, credit score mechanisms is that if we can create API endpoints for the data and like let anyone see all of the data, but if we also let everyone see all of the different calculation scores and weights, then we have just exposed exactly like where to game it by running right under the curve. And so it's
But you have to risk it. Otherwise,
so that's the thing.
Your
It's like,
system isn't doing what it is doing.
So do we run this as like a credit score where we
Security by
tell people?
obfuscation is not an option.
So do we run it like a credit score where we tell people these are the metrics that we will look at, but we don't tell them how they're weighted and what the calculations are, so they know what the metrics are, and we open up the data?
You know exactly what will happen. People will say, what is standing there and deciding what?
Yeah. Like I think that we have to start somewhere, and so like the starting point here is that like we tell people what the different metrics are and what the thresholds for some of those determinations are, and then anyone can pull and aggregate like all of the same data. Like this is looking at the same data that is already like fully available. It's just aggregating it from different sources.
Yeah.
But we are at time, and I think Molly wants us to go next door to do road mapping. Thank you, everyone, for coming to this amazing governance in action track. Great job.
All right. Thanks, guys.
That's a wrap.